Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're coming at you with a individualized team mock draft here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. At this point of the season, I think there's been some clear holes on this team that need to get addressed over the offseason. So in today's video, we're going to do a 3-round mock draft. That's the standard thing for team mock drafts on the channel. We're going to go through the Steelers, talk about what they need to look at in the draft. There's a few different positions I would like to highlight for them. And I think it's an interesting draft for them currently, just based off of where they're currently sitting. If you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new as well, and then leave a comment below what team you'd like to see us do next. We've got a bunch of these already up on the channel, but there's definitely more teams we would love to tackle and showcase for you guys. So make sure you comment that down below so we know what kind of content we're looking to make for you all. Now, moving in here to the actual mock draft, Aiden Hutchinson starts us off number 1 to Detroit. And for Pittsburgh here in round 1, we see Kenny Pickett actually go, unfortunately, and Matt Corral's off the board. So that kind of shapes where we're going to be looking here in round 1. And Evan Neal goes 1 pick before us too. Okay, so I was getting excited that Evan Neal would maybe be there. But the quarterback position, I think that's where it starts and stops here for Pittsburgh this offseason. However, with the top 2 guys off the board in Kenny Pickett and also Matt Corral, it leaves me at a spot where I'm not sure if I want to take a QB this high, 15th overall for Pittsburgh. I mean, Sam Howell's a good quarterback. I like Desmond Ritter's long-term upside, Malik Willis as well. I like his long-term upside. However, I'm just not necessarily sure if any of those guys are worth the 15th pick in the NFL draft at this point, just based where we are in the actual draft process. And then looking at the offensive tackle spot, I think this is really where the biggest need is. You can't be starting Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle. They need to find some offensive help along the offensive line. I know some of their guys have been playing pretty decent this year. However, when you actually look at the roster itself, there's a lot to upgrade across that offensive front. Kendrick Green at center as well. We could maybe look at the interior offensive line at a guy like Kenyon Green or Tyler Linderbaum as well. Kenyon Green's very attractive to me as an offensive lineman selection this high in the draft. But Charles Cross, again, tackles, they tend to go a little bit higher in the draft process. They tend to get valued a little bit higher. I think Charles Cross, to me, here is the selection for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You need to work on building that offensive line. Kenyon Green goes to the Bengals. That's a phenomenal selection there. Linderbaum to the Bills, another really good grab. They need a little bit more interior offensive line help. Trey McBride actually goes in the first round in this mock draft. That's absolutely wild to see. Was not expecting that, but I am hoping to see a quarterback fall to us if that's possible. There's some really good players still out here on the board. Nicholas Pettit-Freer still sitting out here, and he actually goes right there to the Bears. Unfortunately, Kenneth Walker goes to the Dolphins. I love that actually for them. And here we are now. Carson Strong here on the board. He's a player who's had a lot of knee injuries, though, in his career. Has had surgery, I believe, 3 times already. And kind of scares me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It does kind of scare me about making that selection here, 47th overall. And then let's look at the wide receiver position quickly. Kind of thinned out a little bit. I'm not too concerned about it, though. Deontay Johnson's turned into a star, so that's awesome to see. Offensive tackle of Daniel Falele still here. We could go with him, play him in at guard if we wanted to. Interior offensive lineman as well. We got Zion Johnson here out of Boston College. Boston College is a really nice offensive line this year. He and Alec Lindstrom, and I believe they also have a tackle, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back to there. And see if we can find the Boston College tackle on here. I'm certain that they do have one that's draftable this year that's going to probably get drafted in day 3. However, I'm not seeing him on the list at this point. But nonetheless, Pittsburgh, they need to find a little bit more offensive line help. Also, cornerback could be an interesting place to look. Darien Kendrick here could be an interesting grab too at this point. I really want to continue building that offensive line, though, for Pittsburgh. But I don't know if I see them going back-to-back picks there. Actually, let's go here, cornerback spot. We're going to go Darien Kendrick. I really like his game. Played for Clemson for quite a bit of his college career, and then, of course, transferred to Georgia. He's going to be chasing a college football championship this year, but he's been a great cornerback in his college career. Of course, got exposed a little bit by Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson a few years back when LSU did defeat Clemson in that national title game. But then again, looking at the NFL, who hasn't gotten exposed by Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at this point? I think Darien Kendrick, a very, very good value pick. At this point, they need an outside cornerback, and I think he comes in, fits the bill fairly well for him, and gives you a little bit more youth there in Pittsburgh along that secondary. Kingsley Enagbari actually goes 1 pick before us here, 78th overall. That's very unfortunate that he was not on the board for our selection. I'm looking here now at still who's on the board Of course, we didn't miss out on a couple offensive tackles, but Jackson Kirkland's here still. That's an interesting selection guy. And then Alec Lindstrom, too, another Boston College kid. I was talking about him a little bit earlier. Interior defensive line. Not necessarily going to see the biggest need here. Tyler Davis does make some sense out of Clemson, but I'm not going to necessarily panic and make that selection yet at this point. JT Daniels here from Georgia. Just not sure if I want to make any of those picks. Tua's brother, Talia Tagovailoa out of Maryland, is available as well as Brock Purdy, but I just don't see any of those guys being starting level players. So they're not worth a round 3 selection at this point. They're just not worth that move. And the quarterback spot, like I said, for Pittsburgh, it's a tough thing to fill because you need to find somebody. However, I'm just not certain that you're going to be able to do that. Zion Nelson probably in round 4 would make some sense too if we were extending out that far. Here I'm going to go with Jackson Kirkland out of Washington. Start of the year, he was a near first-round level player. I thought someone who could probably cement himself as a first-round guy. Hasn't had the best season that he's been looking for, especially when it comes to actual improving your draft stock. He just has not done that this year. In fact, he's hurt it a little bit, but I still think the upside's there. You get 2 tackles here if you're Pittsburgh, and then you also get an outside cornerback. Some very valuable positions. I think that they need to do a lot trying to find starting level players, especially along that offensive line. In my opinion, we got 2 of them in this draft. We got Charles Cross and Jackson Kirkland, 2 guys that can be starters in the NFL. And you also got an outside starting cornerback. Probably not the sexiest draft that you can have for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially when you consider how much they need a quarterback. If the draft plays out this way, I would expect them to look in free agency or in the trade market to try and find a quarterback. Maybe a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. He could make some sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the 49ers are probably looking to transition to Trey Lance sooner than later. So I think that Jimmy G could make some sense. Maybe a guy like Kirk Cousins, who when he has all the pieces around him, can make things happen. You come in, grab offensive linemen to keep him upright. That could make some sense to me. Or maybe even a guy like Sam Darnold or even Cam Newton. Even though I don't love those, they're at least bridge guys. Someone who can come in and hopefully at least keep you competitive for the short term. I don't necessarily love the upside with any of those signings, but I still think at this point there is some sensibility in going a different direction than the draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if by the time they're up at 15th overall, Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral are both off the board. Kind of becomes a bigger need to find a quarterback through free agency or through the trade market. Again, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Oh, player to watch as well for Pittsburgh. I'm going to say it right now, Aaron Rodgers. I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is in the black and yellow going into next season. It makes a lot of sense to me, and maybe Devontae Adams even comes with him. That would be crazy to see. The Steelers could definitely use a talent like that as well. Again, if you guys did enjoy today's video, leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Comment down below what you think is going to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback position. Is Aaron Rodgers headed out to Pennsylvania to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let me know in the comments, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.